So, my name is Gary Brenda, and this is my wife, Brenda Bessette, and we're here to talk a little bit about our story of financial peace. Some of the advice that we received, as we were growing up, and was having an example set for us, by our parents. My mom, I remember sitting, having her sitting at the kitchen table and writing out on her budget envelope book, and she used to carry that everywhere. So that was an example set forth with me from the very beginning, and
Same for me with my dad. I did the same thing. I remember him sitting at the table, and he had one ledger for certain things and then an envelope system for the rest of his budget. And it was just without fail, down to the penny. He would know exactly where all of the money was going. Felt that was very important because they did go through some hard times and obviously some wonderful times. So he always knew and always budgeted their money so they knew exactly what they had and always could pay their bills and never had any credit card debt, which was also very inspiring.
Yes.
However, we didn't always model that as a couple. When we first got married, we got into credit card debt, and even though we had those examples, so that was probably the bad side of it. No bad influences on us, but we just didn't make the best choices. So we knew we had to change that.
And at that time, we didn't have a budget system, ourselves. We didn't sit down and talk about it at all, even though we were newly married. And, then we finally said, we have to do something. There's too much debt, as a young couple. We're just starting a family and, purchased a house early on. And we finally said, we have to sit down and do this.
Okay.
So what we've done, after talking about it, we said we have to do an envelope system. And there's many ways that you can do that. And so we sat down and we figured out, what our envelopes needed to be. And, including tithing, including going out, including our recurring bills, and, made that work, including, refinancing the home, not once or twice or three times even. We did what we had to do to make sure that we, followed that budget to be good stewards of our money and to get out of debt.
Okay.
Right, and I think for me, what it did was I knew there was a burden on Gary. I just didn't realize how much there was because he was taking charge of that. And I knew, and I would sit with him, but I just never realized just the weight of all of that prior to doing the envelope system. Like living paycheck to paycheck and not really having an understanding of where our money was going. So I just saw such a weight lifted when we did it and just such a peace about money, and it's been that way ever since. So that's been a true blessing. Yeah.
It's going on 20 years, so years.
20 years, yeah. We've been doing that this year, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I think my parents, for sure, are probably two of the most generous people that I know and that you know.
Yeah.
But they were just always so giving to any circumstance, whether it be for us or people outside the family or any need that they saw through church or sponsoring children and things like that. So I did see that. And also our sisters, both of our sisters and their husbands, incredibly generous. So we're just surrounded by it. So it just was such a good example to both of us. So that's been huge for us. Yeah, we've been able to hopefully model that for our kids too. Yeah. Well, I think just if you've been blessed and you're just incredibly thankful for all that you have, you just want to give. And it's just what God wants us to do, to share it, to help others, and just always just be grateful for the gift that we've been given. And it's not our money.
It's not our money, right?
Like you've been saying, we're managing it. And so I think that's been a good reminder for us too. Every week when you've been mentioning that, it's been like, oh yeah, it's very true.
It is. Yep. And tithing, is our number one envelope to make sure that that's, that account's filled first in every paycheck, and giving away, sponsoring children or whatever. It's giving it away gives us a lot of joy these days, and knowing that he's got everything else covered.
Right.
That's.
And trying to teach our children the same with tithing from a young age. Even we were talking earlier about them doing envelopes when they were little. And even if they only had a couple of dollars, they had 3 envelopes. They had one for tithing and one for saving and one for spending. And it wasn't much in it, but it modeled that from an early age, and took that into college, and now they're both married and they're both doing the same with their husbands. So I think generationally, now we're on 3rd generation of this. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, that is cool.
All right. So one piece of advice I would like to give is that don't think that purchasing a car is an investment, because we've made that mistake as well, not only once but twice. That was a bad mistake that we've learned that we've made.
Yeah.
And the other piece would be to do a budget. That's the only way that you'll be able to track and manage your money wisely.
Yeah, and just I think just being diligent with it, and on my part, just because he is handling the finances, just try, and I can be better about this, like sitting with him and making sure that I'm understanding what's going on as well, and trying, being on the same page, which we definitely are at this point. Maybe we weren't always, of course, but now with this, I just know that when the bills come, thank God we have the money and it's there, and it's just a relief of not thinking, where are we pulling this from this week or this month to pay this, and it definitely is a peace, and so I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, and again, passing it along was huge for us, so hoping that if we can help somebody else, we're willing to talk to anybody too that might have questions. So, yeah.